I have no idea what happened, but this is going to be part 2, I guess. My phone went out on me. So I've just told you in Isaiah 9 is where I find another of this. And I'm looking in chapter 9, verse 2. The people who walk in darkness shall see a great light, a light that will shine on all those who live in the land of the shadow of death. For Israel will again be great, filled with joy, like that of reapers when the harvest time has come, and like that of men dividing up the plunder they have won. For God will break the chains that bind his people and the whip that scourges him, just as he did when he destroyed the vast host of the Midianites by Gideon's little hand. Then he goes on to say, for unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And then he goes on to say the incredible royal titles. These will be his royal titles: Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. The ever-expanding, peaceful government will never end. He will rule with perfect fairness and justice from the throne of his father David. He will bring true justice and peace to all the nations of the world. This is going to happen when the Lord of heaven's armies has dedicated himself to do it. Well, that I'm going to kind of wrap up here in just a moment, but part of what Isaiah talks about in the early part. So Isaiah can be divided up very simply into two parts, two great big parts, chapters 1 through 39. And then I began talking to you in the last few weeks about chapters 40 through, I believe it's 66. That's the easiest. There's even some that want to claim that a third or a second person may have written into Isaiah, but nobody disputes apparently that Isaiah wrote chapters 1 through 39. But then there's a change, and they start talking about a lot about idolatry. So chapters 1 through 39 talks about a lot of woes. There's some historical information in there, talking about Hezekiah is heavily involved in that. Matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to read to you before we close tonight is it's over in 2 Kings. Matter of fact, if you start over in the 16th chapter, again, I was wrong when I thought that Ahaz was a king of Israel, but he was a king of Judah. Ahaz talks about him in 2 Kings 16 in his reign and his evil. Some of it was evil, and then Assyria then comes against him, and then you have this one is, I think I'm pronouncing it, Shalmaneser, and he came against them in 727 BC, and that was there's also Sennacherib that came against them. There's even Sargon II that came against them. So there was a lot of historical things, and it goes on into chapter 17 where it does talk about Israel's captivity. Now, Judah was never captured by Assyria. God answered the prayer of Hezekiah. They were actually, Jerusalem was in the middle of a plague, if you will, because that they were a famine, because of the Assyrians being outside their gates. But then the king's sons were plotting against him, and he went home, and his sons killed him. So they never actually captured Jerusalem. It was the Babylonians that did that. So then it goes on in chapter 17 and chapter 18. These are actually, I love history. So if you like history, you'll really enjoy that. So with that great, hopefully with that great big introduction of Isaiah and what Isaiah is about, I want to talk next week about chapter 6. That's really one of the most incredible books, and how that overlaps with Revelation. You'll find a lot of things, again, that we get out of there. Chapter 53 is the incredible description of Jesus, that is so very clear that Jesus was predicted, just right down, all the way down. And it's unbelievable that the Jewish leadership never recognized that, if they're so experts. So let me remind you that we're going to we're going to need to be praying for some folks. Tim in Maryland. Tim has been moved now to another hospital room. He's in 690 in Plano Presbyterian. He is struggling with bladder issues. My daughter Marissa went in for a procedure to turn the baby upside down so the baby can be born, and the gloriously, wonderfully answered to all of our prayers. The baby had done it overnight, went from breech to upside down. But guess what? She just floated on over. Apparently, Marissa has a lot of amniotic fluid. So the baby just floated on over this way now. So she's now again breech. So she's over 8 pounds, and Marissa still has 18 days before the birth. So we're praying that, Lord, please, we'd like for this baby to come on and join us right now. But that's between the Lord and Marissa. Also, a good friend of ours is Neil Dacus. Neil has come on multiple occasions through the years and has come as a Gideon at Northview. I think he substituted a couple of times and led the music. So he is a longtime friend. He had a stroke on Monday afternoon. Gratefully, they got him to Clements Hospital and saved his life, first of all, and he's turning around quite well. So let's remember them. Paul thinks he has this virus, so that's a huge big deal, and so we want to remember him. And folks, we're going to take very carefully. We're going to be very sensible about all of this when we go back. But first of all, we want to obey the law. We want to obey the rules of the government, that is, as long as they're not against God. We always want to do that. And so we're going to be real responsible. So pardon me in not doing any visitation. If you go to the hospital, I can't go there. So stay out of the hospital. But let's continue to pray for these folks. And just because that this is a long presentation, I'm going to ask you to pray on your own, of course, rather than I pray with you. But please know that I am praying for you every day, as I always am, but maybe a little bit more right now, because this is all very serious stuff. And our Tim in Maryland, Maryland is back home finally. She's been staying with Tim at the hospital. She's been staying Tim with the rehab centers. And Tim was in 2 rehab centers. So she's been an extremely good wife. But this is going to take some kind of toll. We'll see. Our Tim he's a pretty good fighter. You keep praying for one another, okay? God bless you. I love you. I'm thinking about you, so I hope this works for us. All right, bye.